AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she invited my ex-boyfriend, who cheated on me, and expects me to just move on. This is going to be long because there are a lot of moving parts and feelings involved, but I'm hoping you all can help me figure out if I'm really the asshole here or if my feelings are valid. A bit of background. I'm 28F and my sister, let's call her Laura, is 30F. We've always been close growing up, but over the past few years, things have gotten tense between us. It's mostly about relationships and boundaries, which she's been pretty dismissive about. She's getting married in about 3 months, and she's super excited. Honestly, I want to be there for her. I love my sister and want her to be happy. But there's a huge issue. About a year ago, I was in a relationship with a guy named Mike. We dated for about 2 years, and I thought things were great until I found out he was cheating on me. It was brutal, obviously. I was devastated. What made it worse was that the girl he was cheating with was someone I knew from work, so it felt like a betrayal on multiple levels. I cut Mike out of my life and spent the next several months healing, rebuilding my self-esteem, and trying to trust people again. Here's where Laura comes in. A few months after the breakup, I learned through mutual friends that Mike was invited to her wedding. And worse, Laura told me she expected me to be mature and move on because it's just a wedding. I was shocked and hurt. I confronted her about it, explaining that Mike hurt me deeply and that I couldn't just pretend like he didn't exist or act like nothing happened. Laura said I was being dramatic and self-centered for making her wedding about me. I tried to explain that this wasn't about ruining her day, but about protecting my own mental health. Mike being there would be a huge trigger for me, and honestly, I felt like Laura was choosing him over her own sister. She told me I was overreacting and that Mike was her fiancé's friend, and it was important to her that he be there. I pointed out that I was her sister, and that should count for something, but she dismissed it. Since then, we've had a few heated conversations, none of which ended well. Laura has said things like, "You're acting like a child, this isn't about you, and you're just being selfish." I've tried to be calm and reasonable, but it's hard when I feel like my pain is being ignored. The wedding is coming up soon, and Laura said if I don't show up, it will be on me. She won't uninvite Mike, and she won't change her plans. I'm torn because I want to support my sister, but I don't think I can sit through a day celebrating while the guy who broke my heart and betrayed my trust is smiling and mingling around me. I feel like I have to choose between my sister and my own well-being. I told her I probably won't attend unless Mike is uninvited. She said I'm making it impossible for her to have a normal family wedding and that if I don't come, she won't forgive me. Now, some friends are telling me I'm being unreasonable and that I should just put my feelings aside to make my sister happy. Others say Laura is the one being insensitive. So, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her decision to invite my ex who cheated on me and expecting me to move on. Edit for clarity. Laura and Mike have never met personally. The reason she's inviting Mike is because he's friends with her fiancé, not because she likes Mike or has any personal connection with him. Also, I'm not asking Laura to uninvite him publicly. I'm only asking her to consider my feelings and understand that his presence makes it impossible for me to be there. I'm willing to celebrate with her separately before or after the wedding, but not if Mike is present. Thanks for reading. I'm really conflicted here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to give my sister's wedding speech and then getting accused of trying to sabotage her big day. So, here's the backstory. I, 29F, have a younger sister, Emily, 26F. We've always had a complicated relationship. Not full-on hostile, but definitely strained. Growing up, she was the golden child. Beautiful, charismatic, popular, and always the center of attention. Meanwhile, I was more introverted, nerdy, and frankly, kind of the background sibling. Our parents treated us differently, which didn't help matters. But I tried my best to support her, especially since she's my sister. Emily got engaged about 6 months ago to her fiancé, Jake. Jake's a nice guy, but he's not exactly the kind of person I would have pictured for my sister. They've been together for around 2 years, and I could see early on that their relationship had some red flags. Jake is controlling and has a temper. Emily tends to brush things off, claiming he just has a bad day sometimes. I voiced concerns quietly to my mom, but it mostly fell on deaf ears. When Emily announced that she wanted me to give a speech at the wedding, I was surprised. Emily is the type to want her best friend or her fiancé's sibling to do the speech. I'm not super close with either of them, but I'm family, so I was happy to accept initially. I figured it would be a way to show support despite our complicated history. But here's where things got weird. As I started drafting the speech, I realized Emily wanted something very specific. She wanted me to paint a perfect fairy tale picture of her and Jake. I'm talking total glossing over everything. No mention of any struggles. No mention of how they met awkwardly. No mention of the controlling behavior or any of the serious concerns I had. Just a perfect love story speech. I told Emily I wanted to be honest and authentic, and if I was giving a speech, I couldn't just pretend everything was perfect because it's not. Emily got upset and accused me of trying to ruin her wedding. She said I was being selfish and dramatic, and that this was about her happiness, not me. Our mom chimed in and told me I needed to get over it, and that the speech should be all love and positivity. After a few more back and forths, Emily demanded I either deliver the speech she wrote or not speak at all. She even sent me the text of a speech she'd written, full of generic praise and praise for Jake. I told her I wouldn't just read a speech I didn't write, especially if it didn't reflect my true feelings. The day before the wedding, Emily gave me an ultimatum. Either read her speech or don't speak at the wedding at all. Feeling pressured, I told her I couldn't do it. I explained that if I were to speak, it had to be from the heart. Emily accused me of trying to embarrass her in front of all the guests and said I was making the day about me. At the wedding, I was told I wouldn't be speaking. Instead, her best friend gave a speech that was all sunshine and rainbows. After the reception, I was pulled aside by my parents, who told me I was being cruel and selfish and that I ruined Emily's wedding vibe. Emily herself stopped talking to me, blocked me on social media, and refused to answer any calls or texts. I've been feeling awful because I wanted to support her, but I also felt like I couldn't lie to everyone about their relationship. Am I the asshole here for refusing to give a speech Emily wanted? Or was I justified in wanting to be authentic, even if it upset her? I'm at a loss. AITA for refusing to let my sister bring her boyfriend to my wedding after what he did at our family reunion. I, 29F, have been engaged to my fiancé, Jake, 30M, for about a year now. We set the wedding date for this coming summer and have been slowly planning it all out. Our families are mostly close, but there is one person who's always been a bit of a wild card, my younger sister, Lily, 26F. Lily has been dating her boyfriend, Max, 27M, for about 6 months now, and honestly, I have serious reservations about him. A little backstory. Lily and I are very close. We grew up in a relatively tight-knit family, and even though we're adults now, we still do family events together. Max showed up in our lives about half a year ago. From the start, he gave me weird vibes. He's charming on the surface, but tends to make inappropriate jokes, has a short temper, and seems to get defensive easily. I chalk some of it up to nerves or not knowing the family yet. Fast forward to about 2 months ago, we had a large family reunion at my parents' house. It was the first time Max was meeting a big chunk of the family, including my fiancé's family, who were also invited. From the moment he arrived, Max was already acting strangely. He was loud, overly competitive during games, and kept interrupting conversations. But the real trouble started during dinner. Jake's aunt has a gluten allergy, and we made sure the catering included safe options for her. Max, however, kept teasing her relentlessly, calling it just a fad, and mocking her for being picky. When she asked him to stop, he shrugged and said she should toughen up. It was awkward, but the aunt handled it with grace. Later that evening, Max had a few drinks, and his attitude went from bad to worse. He started making snide comments about Jake's family's political views, which led to a tense argument at the dinner table. Then he stood up and loudly accused Jake's cousin of being hypocritical and not really part of the family, which deeply upset everyone, including Jake and me. My mom tried to calm him down, but he kept going on. The worst part was when Lily finally stepped in to defend Max. She told everyone that they were just jealous and that people should relax and have fun. This really shocked me because Lily is usually very kind and diplomatic. The argument escalated, and Max stormed out of the house. Afterward, he texted Lily, saying the whole family was toxic and that he didn't want to come to the wedding if they were all going to be there. My fiancé and I were mortified by the entire episode. We had planned this wedding for months, wanting it to be a happy and peaceful occasion, but Max completely ruined the mood. My parents and extended family were also upset. Many said they wouldn't want to attend if Max was going to be there causing a scene. I talked to Lily the next day, telling her that Max's behavior was unacceptable and that if he didn't change, I wouldn't be comfortable having him at the wedding. She got really defensive, accusing me of being unfair and judgmental. She said that Max was just misunderstood and that she wanted her boyfriend to be included as part of the family. I stood firm, explaining that the wedding was a day for love and unity, and Max's behavior didn't align with that. I told her I'd rather have a smaller wedding with just supportive people than invite someone who might cause drama. Lily's reaction shocked me. She told me that if Max wasn't invited, she wouldn't come either. She said she didn't want to choose between her family and her boyfriend, but since I was making it an ultimatum, she was choosing Max. This put me in a really tough spot. I love my sister, but I also want my wedding day to be special and peaceful. I tried to reason with her again, but she dug in her heels. Jake supports me on this and agrees Max's behavior was unacceptable and that he shouldn't be invited until he apologizes and shows he can behave appropriately. Since then, my parents have been pressuring me to just let Max come for the sake of family peace, and Lily has been giving me the cold shoulder, ignoring calls and texts. Some relatives have said I'm being too harsh and that Max deserves a chance. I'm feeling torn and stressed. I don't want to lose my sister, but I also don't want to risk ruining my wedding day over someone who disrespected the family so blatantly. So Reddit, AITA for refusing to let my sister's boyfriend come to my wedding after his behavior at the family reunion? Or should I just suck it up and let him come for the sake of family unity? AITA for refusing to help my sister move despite her saying she'd owe me one, and then getting mad when I said no? So I, 29M, have a younger sister, Emma, 26F, who I've always tried to be there for. Our relationship is mostly good, but over the years, I've noticed a pattern when it comes to her asking for favors, especially big ones. To put it simply, she asks for a lot, sometimes under the guise of, I'll owe you one, or I really need your help this one time, but rarely does she follow up or return the favor. It's like the phrase, I owe you one, just disappears into the void after she gets what she needs. Recently, Emma got a new apartment in the city about 2 hours away from where we both live. She's been struggling with her current place and finally found one she likes. But it's a nightmare to move all her stuff, and she asked me to help. She messaged me 2 weeks ahead, saying she needed help on moving day and that she'd totally owe me one. I was initially hesitant because I work a pretty demanding job and my weekends are usually when I recharge. But I said okay, thinking I could spare a few hours, maybe help her load up the truck and unload at the new place. The week leading up to moving day, she asked for help packing too. She wanted me to come over several evenings to help pack boxes, which I did not want to commit to because of my work schedule. I told her I could only help on moving day itself, no packing beforehand. She said that was fine. When moving day came, I got her a place early, ready to help. But when I arrived, she had barely packed anything. Her excuse was she ran out of time because of work and some other personal issues. I was honestly annoyed, but still agreed to help. However, as the day progressed, I realized this was going to take way longer than I expected. She had way more stuff than she initially told me, and it was all spread out everywhere, making loading the truck complicated. To make things worse, her boyfriend and a couple of her friends showed up, but did very little to help, mostly standing around or complaining about the heat. I ended up doing most of the heavy lifting, loading, unloading, and organizing. By the time we got to the new apartment, I was exhausted and sweaty. Emma barely said thank you, just said, I owe you so much, but didn't offer to get me any water or food. After the move, I expected a little appreciation or for her to at least check in, maybe plan a dinner or something to make up for the hard day. Instead, she disappeared for a couple of days, then messaged asking if I could help her move some furniture around her new place the next weekend. I told her I needed a break and had other plans. She got visibly upset and said, "After everything I did for you last year, you can't even help me once?" I was confused and asked what she meant by everything I did for you last year. She mentioned a few favors she supposedly did for me, like helping me with a project or loaning me money, which I barely remembered or were minor things. I told her that helping her move was already a big deal and that I couldn't keep being her moving labor whenever she needed. She then started messaging me daily, guilt-tripping me with things like family should support each other and I thought you cared. I eventually blocked her on social media and stopped responding because I felt drained and used. Our parents are involved now, and they think I'm being unfair and not supportive enough. They say family always helps family, and I should be grateful she's in my life. But honestly, I feel like she takes me for granted and only reaches out when she wants something. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to keep helping my sister move and eventually cutting off communication because I felt used and unappreciated? Or should I have just sucked it up and kept helping her no matter what? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she excluded my kids and insulted my parenting in front of everyone. This is a long one, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that happened, but here it goes. I, 38F, have 2 kids, aged 8 and 10. My sister, Sarah, 34F, is getting married in a few months. We were pretty close growing up, but things have gotten tense over the last couple of years. The main source of attention is that Sarah has always been extremely judgmental about how I raise my kids, even though I'm a pretty hands-on and loving mom. She's very opinionated about parenting styles and has often criticized me for letting my kids watch TV, eat certain foods, or even how I discipline them. A few months ago, Sarah announced her engagement and that she wanted a small wedding. At first, I was excited and offered to help in any way I could. Sarah said she was keeping the wedding kid-free because she wanted an adult atmosphere. I thought that was a bit strange since both our parents and some of our mutual friends have kids, but I shrugged it off. Then, about a month ago, I received the official invitation. It was formal and said adults only. No kids allowed. I messaged Sarah privately and asked if there was any way my kids could attend or at least be part of some pre-wedding activities. Sarah responded curtly, "This is an adult event. Kids won't be there." I asked why, and she said she wanted her day to be about her and her fiancé without distractions. I felt hurt but didn't say much. I decided to respect her wishes. The real trouble started 2 weeks ago during the bridal shower, which I attended. I showed up with my kids, ages 8 and 10, thinking they could at least come to this event since it wasn't explicitly stated as adults only. I wanted them to be part of this family moment, even if they couldn't be at the wedding. As soon as I walked in, Sarah pulled me aside, visibly upset. She told me that bringing my kids was inappropriate and that I had ruined the atmosphere. She then loudly said in front of everyone that maybe if my name spent less time babysitting and more time teaching her kids manners, they wouldn't be such a distraction. Everyone went quiet. I was mortified and apologized profusely. I offered to take the kids outside or leave, but Sarah said it was too late and made a big deal about it. Her friends started making comments about my parenting, how kids should be seen and not heard, and that my children were wild and unruly. I left early with my kids, feeling embarrassed and hurt. Since then, Sarah has barely spoken to me and has told our parents that I'm being difficult and disrespectful for insisting on bringing my kids to the shower. Fast forward to now, Sarah called me and said I wasn't welcome at the wedding unless I agreed to leave my kids at home and apologize for causing drama. I told her that if my kids aren't welcome, then I won't be either. I also said I was hurt by her public insults and that I couldn't just pretend it didn't happen. Our parents are upset with me and say I should just go to the wedding to keep the peace. My friends are divided. Some say I should put my foot down and not attend if my kids are excluded, while others say I'm overreacting and it's Sarah's day. So, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she excluded my kids and insulted my parenting? Or should I swallow my pride for the sake of family? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she disinvited my fiancé for a ridiculous reason. I, 29F, have been with my fiancé, Jake, 30M, for 5 years. We met in college, and everything about our relationship has been great. We communicate well, support each other, and share the same values and goals. Over the last year, we've been planning our own wedding, which is set for early next year. Life has been exciting and busy, but nothing has prepared me for the drama with my sister, Lisa, 32F. Lisa and I have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, we fought a lot and often felt like rivals. But after college, we started to get along better, and I thought things were finally improving. She's always been a bit controlling and stubborn, but I figured I could tolerate that for my sister's sake. That all changed a few weeks ago. Lisa got engaged 6 months ago and immediately started planning her wedding, which is scheduled for this summer. From the start, she was pretty particular about everything: guest lists, dress codes, even food choices. I didn't mind helping her out here and there, but I'm mostly focused on my own wedding planning, so I wasn't overly involved in hers. About a month ago, Lisa told me she wanted to meet Jake because it's only polite before the wedding. I agreed, thinking it was a chance to get along better. We arranged a dinner, and at first, everything seemed fine. But as the evening went on, Lisa started asking Jake questions about his job, finances, and past relationships, which felt like an interrogation. Jake answered politely, but I noticed he was uncomfortable. When the conversation shifted to her wedding, Lisa asked him directly if he thought her fiancé was good enough for her. I thought that was a weird question, and Jake looked visibly taken aback. After that night, things between Lisa and Jake started to get tense. Lisa would make snide comments to me about Jake, saying he was too boring or too cheap for her tastes, despite never meeting him properly beyond that dinner. I tried to brush it off and told Jake not to worry about it, but the tension kept escalating. Then, 2 weeks ago, Lisa sent me a message out of the blue saying that she had decided to uninvite Jake from her wedding. She claimed it was a personal decision and refused to explain why. I was shocked and asked her to reconsider, explaining how hurtful and unfair it was. I told her Jake was my fiancé and that it didn't make sense to exclude him from such an important family event. Lisa's response was cold. She accused Jake of being negative energy and claimed that he had supposedly said something disrespectful about her fiancé during their meeting, which Jake and I both deny. She said she didn't want him around spoiling the day, and that I had to choose between attending with or without him. I was furious and heartbroken. I told Lisa she was being unreasonable and that I wouldn't attend her wedding if Jake wasn't invited. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm forced to leave my fiancé behind or pretend everything is fine. Lisa called me selfish and accused me of ruining her special day. I decided not to attend the wedding. I told my parents and other family members the situation, and most of them are disappointed but understand my stance. Some friends say I should just go alone for the sake of family peace, but I don't think I can do that without feeling like I'm betraying Jake. Lisa has since sent me a few messages calling me immature and saying I'm overreacting, but I haven't replied. The tension is now spilling over into other family events, and I'm worried this could permanently damage my relationship with her and the rest of the family. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to go to my sister's wedding because she disinvited my fiancé for reasons that don't hold up? Or should I suck it up and just attend without him for the sake of family harmony? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her fiancé's behavior? This has been weighing on me heavily, and I really need to get this off my chest to see if I'm being unreasonable. A bit of background. I, 28F, and my sister Sarah, 32F, have always been close, though lately things have gotten complicated. Sarah got engaged to Mark about 6 months ago. Mark is about 35, and they met through work. At first, I was excited for her. She seemed happy, and I hoped this would be good for her. But from the start, I noticed some things about Mark that made me uncomfortable. Mark comes across as controlling and dismissive, especially when Sarah is around her family. For example, during a recent family dinner, Sarah's mom, our mom, asked about her job, and Mark interrupted, making a sarcastic comment about how Sarah doesn't really do much these days. It was awkward, and Sarah looked embarrassed but didn't say anything. That was just one incident, but it set off alarm bells for me. As the months passed, I noticed more instances where Mark seemed to belittle Sarah or speak over her. He also frequently ignored family events or showed impatience when Sarah's family was around. It was like he didn't want her to have a life outside of him. I tried to bring this up gently with Sarah, but she brushed me off, saying Mark was just shy or stressed from work. The wedding planning started, and things escalated. Mark insisted on a very small wedding with just immediate family and a few close friends. He told Sarah that extended family and friends were too much drama, and that the day should be about us, not them. Sarah agreed, which surprised me because she usually loves big celebrations. I asked if I could invite a couple of my closest friends, and Sarah said no, that Mark wanted it strictly immediate family. One weekend, I overheard a conversation between Sarah and Mark that made me worry for her safety. They were arguing about her wanting to spend time with me and our friends, and Mark was telling her she had to choose between him and the people she loves. Sarah sounded upset, but ultimately said she'd handle it. I felt helpless because I wanted to help but didn't want to push her away. Then came the biggest issue. A few days ago, Sarah invited me over to discuss the final wedding details. When I arrived, Mark was there. From the start, Mark was condescending to me, making snide remarks about how family drama was ruining everything. I tried to keep things calm, but he openly criticized me for not being supportive and said that Sarah's happiness was all that mattered. I told him I was concerned about how he treated Sarah and that I wanted to see her happy and respected. He laughed and said, "She's an adult. She can handle herself. Maybe you should focus on your own life instead of meddling." That night, Sarah asked me to apologize to Mark for upsetting him, which I refused to do. She was upset with me and said I was being selfish and putting the wedding at risk. I told her that I loved her and wanted her to be happy, but I couldn't support her marrying someone who disrespected her and her family. Now, Sarah is refusing to talk to me. Our parents are caught in the middle, upset with both of us. The wedding is in 2 weeks, and I've made it clear I won't be attending if Mark is going to be there acting like that. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because I can't stand her fiancé's behavior? Am I overstepping, or should I just let it go for the sake of family harmony? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she excluded me and my fiancé from the guest list, and now the whole family is turning against me? This is a long one, so bear with me. I, 28F, have a younger sister, Emma, 24F. We used to be really close growing up, but things have changed drastically over the past few years. Emma got engaged about 6 months ago to a guy named Jake, and since then, it's like she's been a different person. For some background, my fiancé, let's call him Ryan, 30M, and I have been together for about 4 years and engaged for a year. We have a pretty solid relationship, and Ryan is super supportive and kind. He gets along well with most of my family, but he's never been particularly close with Emma, mainly because they have very different interests and personalities. When Emma announced her engagement, she was really excited, but I noticed early on that she was making a lot of wedding plans without consulting anyone else, which was unusual because we normally talk things through as a family. I figured it was just the stress of wedding planning. A few weeks ago, Emma sent out a save the date via email. The email had the basic details of the wedding, but the guest list was noticeably short: immediate family and a handful of close friends. I was surprised to find that Ryan and I were not on the list. I thought maybe it was a mistake, so I reached out to Emma privately and asked if we were invited. She replied curtly that she and Jake had decided on a small, intimate ceremony and had limited spots, and they had to prioritize their closest friends and family. She said, "I know you might be hurt, but this is our day, and we have to keep it small." I was stunned. My fiancé and I have been part of her life for years. Even if they wanted a small wedding, excluding me seemed extreme. I asked if there was a specific reason, but she just said it wasn't personal and that we should understand. I talked to my parents about it, and they were shocked too, but they said they didn't want to get involved in the drama. They also said Emma has been very stressed and particular about the wedding. They urged me to try to patch things up with her. I tried reaching out again to Emma, asking if we could at least come to the reception afterward or celebrate with them in some way. She ignored my messages. Now, the big issue is that the wedding is in about 2 weeks, and my parents have said they will be attending, but they're pressuring me to go as well, saying I should put aside my feelings for the sake of family unity. Ryan says he doesn't want to cause a scene, but he's also upset that we're being excluded. I told my parents I'm not going to the wedding because I feel hurt and disrespected. Emma is basically cutting me out of one of the most important events in her life, and I don't want to celebrate with people who don't want me there. My parents and other family members have started calling me selfish and accusing me of making things worse. To be fair, I've thought about whether I'm overreacting. Maybe Emma just wants a small wedding, and we weren't close enough for her to invite. But isn't a sister supposed to be close? We used to be, and I honestly don't know why she's excluding me now. I'm torn. Part of me wants to give in and just go to avoid the family drama, but another part feels like if I do, I'm accepting being sidelined. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she excluded me and my fiancé? Or should I just suck it up for the sake of family peace? Hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her fiancé's behavior. I, 29F, have always been close to my sister, Emily, 27F. We grew up in a small town, sharing everything from clothes to secrets, and despite the usual sibling ups and downs, we were each other's biggest supporters. Emily got engaged about 6 months ago to a guy named Matt, 30M. I'll be honest, when she first introduced Matt, I had a bad feeling about him, but I kept it to myself because I wanted to be supportive. Matt is charming in social settings, but as time went on, I started noticing little things that didn't sit right with me. At first, it was subtle. He would interrupt Emily mid-sentence, dismiss her opinions during conversations, and when we all hung out, he often made snide remarks about her family or friends. I brushed it off as teasing, but it seemed more mean-spirited as I paid closer attention. One particular incident cemented my doubts. We were at a family barbecue, and Emily mentioned she was nervous about giving a speech at her work event. Instead of comforting her, Matt said, "Don't be ridiculous. You're not that good at public speaking anyway." Emily laughed awkwardly and changed the subject, but I could see she was hurt. I tried talking to Emily about how I felt, but she shut me down immediately, telling me that Matt was stressed about wedding planning and that I was being overly sensitive. She said I was making things worse by bringing up small things that didn't matter and that I should just support her. I wanted to believe that, so I kept my reservations mostly to myself. As the wedding day approached, I noticed more red flags. Matt started controlling the wedding details in ways that excluded Emily's family and friends. For example, he insisted on a guest list that left out some of Emily's closest childhood friends. When Emily questioned it, he said he didn't want too many distractions and that the wedding should be about us, not the past. The final straw was when Emily asked me to be a bridesmaid. I said yes because, again, I wanted to support her, even though I was uneasy about Matt's presence. Then, a week before the wedding, I was helping Emily set up decorations at her apartment when Matt walked in late from work and immediately started criticizing how the decorations looked. He said things like, "This looks cheap, and I don't want our wedding to look like a kid's party." Emily looked down and said she was sorry, but he kept going on, telling her she needed to do better and that if she didn't get it right, it would ruin the wedding. I finally confronted Matt, saying that he was being unnecessarily harsh and that Emily was doing her best. He got defensive and said, "I'm only saying this because I care about her and the wedding." I told him that caring didn't mean tearing someone down in their own home. The next day, Emily was noticeably upset. When I asked her what was wrong, she said Matt told her I was causing drama and making her question her decisions. She said she didn't want to fight before her wedding and asked me to back off. I felt stuck. I wanted to support my sister, but couldn't accept how Matt was treating her. The night before the wedding, I told Emily I couldn't be a bridesmaid because I didn't want to be part of a day that made her miserable. She was furious, calling me selfish and saying I was ruining her big day. I didn't go to the wedding. I sent a card wishing her well, but I haven't spoken to her since. My parents are upset with me, saying I should have put my feelings aside for Emily's happiness. Some friends say I was right to stand up for my sister, but others say I should have kept the peace for one day. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of how her fiancé treated her and me. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of the guest list drama. So here's the thing. This story is long, but I need to get it all out because it's been driving me crazy. I, 29F, have a sister, 32F, named Emily, and we have never really been close, but I've always been civil. We grew up in a pretty traditional family with pretty strict parents, and Emily has always been the golden child, successful, popular, always getting attention. I've been more of the quiet one, with a smaller friend group and a job that I genuinely enjoy, but that doesn't put me in spotlight. Emily has been engaged for about a year now to her fiancé, Mark, 33M. Mark is nice enough, but honestly, I don't feel like they're a great match, but that's not really my business. The problem started when Emily announced her wedding date and started talking about the guest list. She asked me early on who I wanted to invite. I only wanted to invite a few close friends and my boyfriend, Sam. No problem there. Then she dropped the bomb. She was inviting her entire group of friends from college and work, about 80 people. My parents were invited, obviously, plus extended family. I asked how many guests she was expecting total, and she said around 150. Fine, I thought. Then the drama began. Emily said she didn't want me to invite any of my old high school friends because they're not her kind of people. I was taken aback, but didn't say much at first. I told her that I don't have many friends from high school anyway, so it wouldn't be an issue. She made it clear that she wanted the wedding to be her vibe, which meant a very specific group of people. People she knows well, who fit into her social circle. I get that to some extent, but it felt exclusionary. The real problem was with my boyfriend, Sam. Sam and Emily have never really gotten along, mostly because Sam is more introverted and has a different background. He's from a small town and works in a trade, while Emily and Mark are both very corporate and social. Emily told me she wasn't thrilled about having Sam at the wedding, but I brushed it off. I love Sam, and I wanted him there to support me. Fast forward a few months. Emily sends me the formal invite, but it only has my name on it. No +1. I asked her about it, and she said that she's limited on seats and that she can't accommodate everyone's +1s unless they're married or engaged. I was surprised because other people had +1s on their invites, even some of her work friends who were in relationships that just started recently. I told Emily that Sam and I have been together for 2 years, and I would appreciate it if he could come. She said she understood, but couldn't make exceptions. I felt hurt, but tried to be understanding. Around this time, I started hearing whispers from mutual friends that Emily was making comments about how she didn't want people like Sam at the wedding. That was a punch to the gut, because Sam has been nothing but kind and respectful to her and Mark. I decided to talk to my parents about it. They told me that Emily has always been controlling about her events, and that this isn't the first time she's made people feel unwelcome. My mom also hinted that Emily has been stressing a lot about the wedding and the guest list. Still, it didn't sit right with me. One night, I told Emily I wasn't going to attend the wedding if Sam couldn't come. I said that I didn't want to be there without him and that it felt unfair and hurtful. Emily accused me of trying to ruin her special day and being selfish. We haven't spoken much since. Now, the wedding is next month, and I'm sticking to my guns. I'm refusing to attend without Sam. My parents are disappointed, and Emily has unfriended me on social media. I've been getting messages from some family members telling me I should just suck it up and go, that it's her day, and I'm making it about me. But from my perspective, it feels like Emily is punishing me for having a partner she doesn't approve of, and I don't want to be a part of that. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she won't let my boyfriend come? Or is Emily the one being unfair here? AITA for refusing to babysit my sister's kids during my wedding weekend, even though she had no other options? This has been weighing on me for a while, and I'm not sure if I'm the asshole here, so I'm turning to Reddit for some perspective. I, 29F, am getting married in about 2 months. My fiancé, 30M, and I have been planning this for over a year, and honestly, it's been a roller coaster with family drama, work stress, and just general wedding chaos. We finally settled on a weekend and venue that means a lot to us, and we're excited but also exhausted from the planning. My younger sister, Elle, 25F, has 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. She's a single mom, and honestly, she's always been a bit unreliable when it comes to managing her schedule. The kid's father isn't in the picture, and her support system is kind of thin. I've helped her out quite a bit over the years, watching the kids when she needed to go to work or appointments, sometimes giving her rides, and even helping financially here and there. I'm happy to help because I love my niece and nephew, and I want to support my sister, but I also have boundaries. Anyway, a few weeks ago, she asked me if I could watch the kids during the wedding weekend. At first, I thought she meant maybe for a couple of hours during the reception or something, which I was open to discussing. But when she told me she had no one else to watch them the whole weekend, Friday evening through Sunday afternoon, and that she needed me to be the primary babysitter, I was taken aback. I explained to her that my wedding weekend is the one time in my life where I want to focus on my fiancé, my guests, and the event itself. I'm not going to be in any shape or mood to babysit 2 young kids for hours on end during what's supposed to be one of the best weekends of my life. She got really upset and accused me of not caring about her or the kids, saying I was being selfish and that no one else would help her. She reminded me that she's helped me before with my own nieces and nephews in the past. I try to explain that helping out with a few hours here and there is one thing, but being responsible for 2 toddlers for an entire weekend is not something I can commit to, especially on my wedding weekend. Plus, I've been planning events and coordinating with vendors nonstop. I don't want to risk being exhausted or distracted during the wedding. Elle then said she felt like I was punishing her and the kids because I'm prioritizing my fiancé over family, and that it was a clear sign that I don't want her or the kids involved in my life anymore. This really hurt because I do love my sister and her kids. I just don't think it's unreasonable to expect that on my wedding weekend, I shouldn't be the primary caretaker for anyone other than myself and my fiancé. My parents and a few mutual friends have chimed in. My parents said I should try to help more, because family sticks together and that it's a once-in-a-lifetime event for my sister too, raising kids on her own. Some friends say I'm right to set boundaries and that my wedding is my day. Others say maybe I should just suck it up for the weekend. There's also the issue that my sister didn't really try to ask anyone else. She reached out to our mom, who has health issues and can't babysit, and some cousins who said no or were unavailable, and then came straight to me. So it feels like she expected me to drop everything and just say yes. My fiancé supports me 100%, saying it's important I enjoy my day and that it's not fair for me to be the babysitter, but he also understands why my sister is upset. I feel bad for my sister, but also frustrated that she didn't have a backup plan or ask earlier. I want to enjoy my wedding and not be stressed about 2 toddlers. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to babysit my sister's kids during my wedding weekend, even though she has no one else? Or am I justified in setting this boundary? Thanks in advance for your opinions. AITA for refusing to let my fiancé's sister stay with us after she destroyed my comic collection. I, 33M, have been with my fiancée Rachel, 31F, for almost 5 years. We got engaged last year and we're planning our wedding for next spring. Things between us have been great until recently. So for background, I'm a huge comic book nerd. I've been collecting since I was 12, and I have a pretty impressive collection of rare issues, mostly Marvel, some indie stuff, and a few signed pieces. It's my pride and joy, and I've spent years carefully preserving and curating it. We have a dedicated room in our house for it, sort of like a mini museum/library. Rachel knew about my collection when we met, and while she's not into comics herself, she's always been respectful of it. Now enter her younger sister, Kim, 26F. Kim's the opposite of Rachel. She's loud, impulsive, and has always rubbed me the wrong way. I've tried to be civil for Rachel's sake, but Kim has this habit of treating our house like a hotel whenever she visits. She doesn't ask before taking things, leaves messes, and once brought a Tinder date over while house-sitting for us without telling us. 2 months ago, Kim got into a bad situation with a roommate and asked if she could stay with us for a week or 2 while she looked for a new place. I was hesitant, but Rachel assured me it would be short-term and that she'd set boundaries. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Big mistake. Week 1. Kim was already pushing boundaries, blasting music late at night, inviting friends over without asking, and leaving takeout boxes all over the living room. I brought it up to Rachel, and she said she'd talk to her, which I think she did, but nothing really changed. Then came the disaster. I came home from work one Friday to find the comic room door open. Kim was in there with a hot glue gun, glitter, scissors, and what looked like pieces of a comic spread across the table. I froze. She'd taken several of my vintage comics, actual rare issues, including a signed first print of the Sandman #1 and X-Men Giant Size #1 reprint, and was cutting them up to make what she described as custom frame collages as a birthday gift for her boyfriend. Apparently, she wanted to make something cool and nerdy and thought I had plenty spare. I lost it. I yelled. Loud. I almost never yell, but I was shaking with rage. I told her to get the hell out of the room, and when Rachel got home, I told her what happened. Kim claimed she didn't think it was a big deal, and that those comics were just sitting there. She also tried to claim that since she was family, she had a right to share in the cool stuff in the house. Rachel was horrified and did apologize, but she immediately started trying to smooth things over. Kim didn't mean to ruin them. She was just trying to make a nice gift. She doesn't understand how serious it is, etc. I told them both that Kim needed to be out by the end of the weekend. Rachel thought I was being too harsh. She said Kim had nowhere else to go and that this would ruin her relationship with her sister. I told her I didn't care. She crossed the line, and trust was broken. Those comics were irreplaceable to me, not just monetarily, but emotionally. Some are gifts from my late grandfather. Others were signed when I met artists I idolized. Rachel begged me to reconsider, but I stood firm. Kim moved out Sunday night, slamming doors and calling me a selfish man-baby on her way out. Since then, there's been a huge strain between Rachel and me. She's been distant, and a few days ago, she said she's not sure she wants to go through with the wedding if I can't learn to let things go. That honestly hurt more than anything. I've asked her, if the situation were reversed, if someone ruined something precious of hers, would she be okay just letting it go? She didn't really answer. My friends are divided. Some say I overreacted and should have used it as a teachable moment for Kim. Others think I didn't go far enough and should have reported her for destroying personal property. Now I'm second-guessing everything. Was I too harsh? Did I let my attachment to my collection destroy my relationship? AITA? AITA for canceling the surprise honeymoon I planned after my fiancée told her mom every detail behind my back. I, 28M, have been with my fiancée Emma, 27F, for 4 years. We got engaged about 6 months ago. Emma is great, warm, funny, driven, but she's also extremely close to her mom, to a point that has sometimes caused friction between us. Her mom, Linda, 51F, is what you'd call intensely involved. She's always been a little too deep in our relationship, asking about our arguments, commenting on our finances, making suggestions about our living arrangements. I've tried to set boundaries politely, and Emma always said she understood, but nothing ever really changed. Anyway, for our honeymoon, I wanted to do something special. I planned the whole thing myself. 10 days in Japan, traveling between Tokyo, Kyoto, and a couple of quiet mountain towns. I researched everything for months, from the Ryokan's traditional inns we'd stay in to the food tours and tea ceremonies I booked. I even coordinated with her boss and HR to get her the exact days off she'd need without tipping her off. It was going to be a surprise. I'd reveal it at our reception with a little treasure hunt I was setting up during the dance portion. Clues leading to a travel box with passports, tickets, and a note for me. It felt romantic, personal, and like a big gesture to start our marriage. Emma's never been to Asia and always dreamed of visiting Japan, so I was really excited. A few days ago, I was at her apartment and noticed her iPad open on the kitchen counter. It was synced to her texts, and I glanced, I know, not great, and saw a long thread between her and Linda. I'm not proud, but I scrolled. I saw a message from Emma saying, "You can't tell him I told you, but he's planning a surprise honeymoon to Japan." I saw a confirmation email when he left his laptop open last week. The message was from almost a month ago. My stomach dropped. Not only had she ruined the surprise for herself, but she'd been feeding every detail to her mom, Descriptions of the inns, screenshots of the itinerary she pieced together, even photos of the ring box I was customizing for the reveal. And Linda wasn't just receiving this info quietly. She was dissecting it, offering opinions like, I wouldn't waste 2 nights in the mountains, or tell him to book the Kyoto tea ceremony earlier in the day, or it'll be too hot. The last straw was a text from Linda that said, if he's keeping this from you, you should at least get a say. Make sure he's not overpaying or being ridiculous. Japan isn't that romantic, honestly. I didn't say anything right away. I went home, sat with it for a day, then canceled everything. I didn't tell Emma I'd done it until last night. We were going over some wedding stuff, and I told her as calmly as I could that I knew she'd found out about the honeymoon and that I saw the texts. She immediately started crying and apologizing, saying she just got excited and could not tell someone, and that she trusted her mom to keep it quiet. I told her that this wasn't just about the surprise being spoiled. It was about trust and privacy and the fact that she let her mom weigh in on something that was supposed to be between us. I said I no longer felt comfortable spending thousands of dollars on something that had been picked apart and criticized behind my back. I told her I canceled the honeymoon and that we could plan something together after the wedding. She lost it. She said I was punishing her for a mistake, that I was overreacting, and that her telling her mom wasn't some act of betrayal. She said I'd ruined something beautiful out of spite. Her words. Now her mom is messaging me, saying I'm immature and that marriage is about forgiveness. Emma has moved back in with her mom for the week and told me she needs space to reconsider some things. A couple of my friends think I overreacted, especially since I still love her and we're so close to the wedding. They said I could have just talked to her, or maybe still gone and just adjusted the plans. But a few others, especially the married ones, said this was a massive red flag and that I was right to draw a line. I don't know. I didn't cancel it to be vindictive. I did it because the whole thing felt tainted after that. The magic of the gesture was gone. But now I'm wondering if I blew up a good thing over what was ultimately a slip of excitement and poor boundaries. AITA? AITA for telling my wife I'm not raising her practice baby. I, 36M, have been married to my wife Jenna, 34F, for 6 years. We don't have kids yet, but we've been trying for about a year with no luck. Jenna has always wanted to be a mom, and she's been handling the fertility struggles pretty hard. I get it, it sucks. We've been doing all the tests, and there's nothing medically wrong with either of us. It just hasn't happened yet. About 4 months ago, Jenna told me her younger cousin Emily, 19F, was pregnant. Total surprise baby. The dad bounced the minute he found out, and Emily was freaking out, talking about adoption or dropping out of school. Jenna was really upset and said no way should Emily give up the baby to strangers. She offered for Emily to move in with us until the baby is born and a few months after, so we could help her out. I was hesitant, but I agreed. Emily moved in with us about a month later. She's quiet, polite, cleans up after herself, no major issues. Then she had the baby, a little girl named Mia, 2 weeks ago. That's when things got weird. Jenna has completely taken over. She's waking up at night with the baby, changing her, feeding her with formula. Emily isn't breastfeeding, buying clothes and toys, doing skin-to-skin, calling herself Mama J. She keeps referring to Mia as our girl or our little angel. I thought it was just excitement, maybe a little baby fever. Then last week I overheard her on the phone with her mom saying, "This is exactly what I needed. Raising Mia is preparing me for when we finally have our own." That weirded me out, but I didn't say anything yet. The turning point was this weekend. I was watching TV when Jenna came in holding Mia and said, "Your turn. Can you do the 3 a.m. tonight? I'm running on fumes." I blinked at her and said, "What do you mean, my turn?" She said, "We've been trading off. I did last night. Now it's you." I told her no, I wasn't going to do shifts for a baby that isn't mine. She looked stunned and said, "But we're helping Emily." I said helping is one thing. Acting like I'm Mia's dad is another. I reminded her this was supposed to be temporary, and the baby isn't ours. She got teary and asked if I thought she was crazy. I said no, but I think she's overstepping boundaries and maybe projecting some of our fertility grief onto this situation. She snapped, said I was being heartless, that I don't understand what she's going through, and I have no empathy for how hard it is for her to watch someone else get the one thing she wants most. She called me selfish for not stepping up, even for a few months. I went and slept in the guest room. We barely spoke the next day. Here's where I might be the ****. I talked to Emily privately. I asked her how long she was planning on staying, and she admitted she didn't know. She said she was grateful, but also felt like Jenna was really intense and kind of took over. I gently suggested it might be time to think about next steps, maybe staying with her mom or looking into student housing with childcare support. She was quiet but nodded. That night, Jenna exploded at me. Emily had told her what I said. Jenna accused me of trying to kick a scared teen mom out on the street and said I was sabotaging her chance to be a mother in any way she can. I lost it. I said, "You are not her mother. I'm not her father. This is not our baby. I am not raising someone else's child, so you can cosplay motherhood." She looked like I slapped her, and she just walked out. She's staying at her sister's right now. I know my words were harsh, but I also feel like someone needed to say it. I didn't sign up for pretend family, and I feel like she unilaterally made me part of one. Still, everyone else, her sister, her mom, even one of our friends, is saying I'm being insensitive and should just be supportive because this is helping Jenna heal. But am I wrong for setting this boundary? AITA? AITA for telling my sister she should have been more careful with her wedding guest list, and now it's her fault our family is torn apart? So, some context. I, 28F, have a younger sister, Lexi, 26F, who just got married last month. I was the maid of honor, which meant a lot of helping with planning, dress shopping, and of course, dealing with family drama. We're close, but she's always been more of a people pleaser, while I tend to be more direct. This difference has been fine until now. Our family has some long-standing issues. My mom, 50s, is divorced from my dad, also 50s, and let's just say it wasn't amicable. Dad cheated, Mom found out, and the divorce was messy. That happened 10 years ago, and they've barely spoken since. Dad's now remarried to Kim, 40s, who was the other woman. That alone made things rocky. But to make matters worse, my older brother, 30M, Josh, is very close with Dad and Kim. He's always said we should let the past be the past and get over it. Now Lexi, in her eternal quest to keep the peace, invited everyone to her wedding, including Mom, Dad, Kim, Josh, Josh's wife, Kim's 2 teen kids from a previous marriage, and even Kim's parents. I told her it was risky and asked her how she planned to seat people. Her solution was, "I'm just going to trust everyone to be adults." I asked her multiple times if she had a plan B if things went sideways. She told me I was being negative and that she wanted her whole family there. Fast forward to the wedding day. Ceremony was fine. Everyone kept their distance. But during the reception, Mom had a few drinks and saw Dad and Kim dancing with Kim's parents like they were the freaking royal family. She lost it. She walked up to them, loud enough for people nearby to hear, and said something like, "Glad to see your homewrecker wife is getting the wedding she stole from me." Dad told her to shut up and stop being bitter. Kim tried to de-escalate, but Josh stepped in and said, "You were always dramatic, Mom." No wonder Dad left. It was like setting off a bomb. Mom slapped Josh. Josh shoved a table. Someone screamed. One of Kim's kids started crying. Lexi ran over in tears and tried to separate everyone, but the damage was done. The rest of the night was a disaster. Half the guests left early, including Mom. After the wedding, Lexi cried to me about how she had tried so hard to make it a day of love and unity, and that our family ruined it. I told her, gently at first, that I was really sorry this happened. But then I said something like, "I warned you that putting all of them in the same room without boundaries or plans would backfire. You didn't listen. You prioritized appearances over emotional reality." She got really quiet and just said, "So it's my fault?" I told her I wasn't trying to blame her entirely, but yes, she had some responsibility. She didn't think through the consequences of inviting people who literally can't stand each other to the same table. She started crying harder and told me I was being cruel. She said I should have just comforted her instead of rubbing it in. I've been getting texts from family since. Josh called me a cold bitch for siding with Mom and said I was enabling her toxicity. Mom, meanwhile, thanked me for finally telling the truth, which felt gross because she definitely escalated the situation. Lexi hasn't really spoken to me in the past 2 weeks. I reached out once and apologized if I hurt her, but I said I stood by what I said. Now I'm second-guessing myself. Should I have just shut up and comforted her? Was it the wrong time to point out the obvious? I wasn't trying to hurt her. She's my sister. I love her. But part of me feels like if no one ever tells her the truth, we're just going to keep repeating the same patterns. So, Reddit. AITA for telling my sister she should have been more careful with her wedding guest list, and now it's her fault our family is torn apart. AITA for telling my sister her honeymoon isn't more important than my dog's surgery. My 28F older sister, 32F, recently got married. Her husband is nice enough, and I was genuinely happy for her when they got engaged. The wedding was beautiful, no drama there. The issue is with her honeymoon and the expectations she had around it. A few months before the wedding, she told me they were planning a 3-week honeymoon to Italy, Greece, and Croatia, and asked me if I could house sit and watch their cat during that time. I initially said yes, assuming it'd just be a few hours from my place, and I could bring my dog with me. Then she told me the details. She wanted me to move into their house, which is a 2.5-hour drive away from where I live, work, and study. She said it'd be like a little vacation for me too. I said I'd think about it. The issue is that I have a dog, Remy, a 6-year-old rescue who's honestly like my child. He has some trauma and anxiety issues, and I've worked really hard with him for years to get him comfortable and stable. I can't just leave him with anyone. He doesn't do well in kennels, and finding someone I trust to stay with him is hard. I asked if I could bring Remy with me, and my sister immediately said no. Her cat is terrified of dogs, and she didn't want any damage or stress to the cat. I totally get that, so I said that maybe I couldn't do the house sitting after all. She got upset and told me I was being selfish, that it was just 3 weeks, and she needed someone she could trust. I suggested maybe she could find a local pet sitter or have her husband's sister stay there instead, since she lived closer. Apparently, that was already a no-go for whatever reason. I left it at I'll see what I can do, but didn't commit. Fast forward to a month before the wedding. Remy started limping and whimpering. A few vet visits and $600 later, we found out he has a torn ACL and would need surgery, followed by 6 to 8 weeks of strict recovery and limited movement. The surgery was scheduled for the 2nd week of her honeymoon. There was no question in my mind. I had to be there for Remy. Post-op care for dogs is really intense. He needed to be carried up and downstairs, wear a cone, take meds multiple times a day, and I need to monitor his stitches constantly to make sure he didn't reopen them. There's no way I could care for him and live 2.5 hours away, and I certainly couldn't leave him with anyone else right after surgery. So I told my sister I wouldn't be able to house sit. She absolutely lost it. She started yelling at me over the phone, saying I was abandoning her in the most important moment of her life, that I was choosing a dog over family, and that she'd never forgive me if her honeymoon got ruined because she had to cancel or shorten it. I stayed calm but firm, told her I was sorry and I understood she was upset, but that Remy's surgery couldn't wait and I had to take care of him. That was 2 weeks ago, and she hasn't spoken to me since. Not at the wedding, we were cordial, not during the honeymoon, and not after she got back. I sent a couple of texts just checking in, and she left them on read. My parents are divided. My mom says she understands, but wishes I had tried harder to find another option. My dad said he would have done the same thing and told me to stop feeling guilty. Some of my friends say I was completely right and my sister was being unreasonable. Others think I should have postponed the surgery and made it work. But that didn't feel right to me. My dog was in pain. Every day he'd limp around, and I could tell he was uncomfortable. The vet said the sooner the better, especially to prevent long-term joint issues. Waiting an extra month could have made things worse and more expensive. My sister has since posted some not-so-subtle stuff on social media. Captions like, "Sometimes people show you how little they care," and "Pets are great, but people are better." Or so you'd think. A few mutual friends have even hinted that she feels betrayed and humiliated that I bailed on her. Now I'm questioning myself. Did I do the wrong thing? Was I selfish for putting my dog's surgery over her honeymoon? Should I have tried harder to make something work? AITA? Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.